Okay, so in this video, I want to cover some basics of the breed standard and what I've noticed from different dogs that I've looked at over the years. So akc.org, and then once you get there to the homepage, you can click on the breed you want, and then they've got some basic pointers, and you can click on each of these and it changes, like tells you different things that they're looking for the breed standard. I'm going to show you two. So this is one tab I want us to look at. The other tab I want us to look at is the pedigree database. This is the biggest research tool that I've used to research ancestry of dogs. It's not considered an academic source necessarily, but it is pretty accurate. The people who run the website compare the records that individuals, so I could create a page for Sky if I wanted to. But within a couple of weeks, the admins who run the page would then be checking and asking, does she have a registered AKC number? If so, we need it to be posted. They compare that to make sure that AKC has her on record or whatever. So they do a pretty decent job of, I think, pretty good job of making sure that what's on here is pretty accurate. They also look at the OFA's website to see, like, if I say that a dog has got hip scores or whatever, they compare those as well. So I'm going to look up Iron, who is the sire of a possible litter here. Couple things to note. So Iron von den Wolfen, that's his name. He goes by Eros, that's his call name. But dogs in the German way are named by the kennel. So this Wolfen at the end, it's Iron of the Wolves would be like the English translation, but the Wolfen kennel in Germany, that tells you where he's from, where he came from, who bred him. And it's a guy, I believe, named Thomas Land. But he's got his information here. He's got his AKC registration number down below, OFA hip scores, DNA profile, microchip number, and all of that. So all of those are options when you create a page, date of birth. And then these are all different things. So like, what does any of this red stuff mean? IPO 3, it is a level of training. You can also see Schützen 3. So Schützen is what they call it in Germany. IPO is in Czech Republic typically, and a lot of it's been adopted to the United States, but it's training modes: obedience, tracking, and protection. Okay, and then there's level 1, which is the beginner level, level 2, which is more advanced, and level 3 is the highest that a dog can earn. I'm not sure about the FH2. I'd have to actually look that one up. But V1 means excellent. Anything that says V in front of it means excellent, and that means he was V1, like the most excellent. He was first place in the WUSV in 2015. The WUSV is the World Universal Seeger competition. So that's the competition that he won, and was only the first American dog raised in the United States. He's from German bloodlines, but first dog in the United States to, and female trainer from the United States as well, to have won like the world competition. He's also V1, meaning first place at the USCA, that's in the United States, national competition. So he was the #1 dog in the USA as well. Okay, so and then she's got some other accolades listed there. So what I've done with any dog I've met, this is important. If there's a breed report, that would be if a judge had looked him over and made some commentary on his shape, size, build, or whatever. She never did have him breed surveyed. Breed surveyed means when a judge, like, you just stand the dog up and the judge examines and then gives him a rating or whatever. This is important. Line breeding. No common ancestry was found in 5 generations. It's very hard to find dogs nowadays that don't have some kind of common ancestry within 5 generations. I try, if I can, to find dogs that have no common ancestry in 7 generations. It's almost impossible. It's really hard. But at any rate, he's got no common ancestors within 5 generations. What I'm going to show you here, these are his ancestors on the father's side. So this is his father. Notice there's a V in front of the name there, Schützen 3. So remember, Schützen and IPO are basically the same thing. It's just different countries, but it means that the dog was rated very highly in obedience, tracking, as well as protection. So level 3 is as high as they can go. If he was SG in the BSP is the German competition. It means he was very good in the German competition. V stands for excellence. Okay, it's a German word that I can't pronounce, but anytime you see the V, it means excellence. And this was also in a German competition. He's got a V in front of his name here. That means that in terms of his size, shape, build, all of that, he was highly rated. And if there's a V in front of a competition, it means he showed excellence at that competition. Okay, so that's his father. His mother, we don't have a picture of. She achieved a Schutzen too. So it's typical for the males. You're always looking for males that achieve more highly than the females. And there's females who are Schutzen 3 rated. Here's one right down here. She was SG. SG stands for sehr gut in German, means very good. So it's not quite the perfect excellence level, but it's very good. It's rare actually to have like all V-rated excellent dogs, right? So people combine and breed SG rated females maybe with, very good females with excellent males. Here's an example of a female who got a V rating. So she perfectly got the V there. In terms of her overall build and structure, she also got all 3 levels on Schutzen, okay? LGA is a national competition, so she not only got all 3 levels of her Schutzen, but she competed at a national level. This is a world champion dog. He's a very famous dog. I have seen this dog in the pedigree of more first place winners than any other dog out there. So when I keep track of who the first place, second place, third place, even fourth and fifth place winners of the world competition are every year, not to say that we need dogs that are championship. We don't, for our purposes, what we're looking for our family might not be like a championship dog, but for some reason, this dog really threw his genetics. He was a champion in 1999, and many of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren even are still competing very highly in the world. So he must have been a dog who really kind of threw some of his genetics. He's SG rated. And this is, again, when you see it in front of the name, it means the structure, the overall build and shape, size, according to, like you looked at that AKC breed standard. The German has a little stricter standard, but it's pretty close to the same things that they're looking for. So this is SG, means sehr gut, meaning very good. So not perfect at that ultimate excellence level, but very good. He did, though, achieve excellence on the field, though, right? So he was very good in terms of his build and size and structure. But then he was excellent on the field. 3-time WUSV, that means he made that world competition 3 different times. He won first place in it in 1999, but he probably, even if it wasn't first place, he placed very highly the other 3 times that he was there. So to get to go year after year after year, it's pretty solid and really good dog. Looking at in his ancestry, you see another SG. That means they're good. So, and you can kind of look at this dog. I'll point some things out in a little bit. Not a perfect build and structure, but very good on the field. 4 times at the WUSV here. So he made the world competition. He wasn't the first place winner necessarily, but he was in that competition 4 years in a row. And then further down, you can see this is a dog that Wayne Curry, Lolo's owner, actually really liked. Pike, SG rated there, so very good. Schutzen 3, etc. Okay. The G, by the way, so if you got a G in the BSP, that stands for gut or good. So there's 3 levels: good, gut, sehr gut, which is very good. So good, very good, and then V is a word I can't pronounce very well, but it stands for excellent in German. Okay. Looking up, same thing. You'll see a lot of, here's an SG rating. Here's a Schutzen 3. Schutzen 3. This is a G rated dog, so not the perfect, but still good, and he still achieved Schutzen 3. Schutzen 3 SG, so very good. Falk is actually the one that Deb indicated he had thrown. There's a few litters out there that he threw. He bred a lot since he was a big time champion or whatever. You see he was in the WUSV here 3 times, in the BSP, which is the German national competition. There were several littles out there that he threw where the puppies might have had 1 or 2 missing teeth. So she believes the missing tooth gene is coming down from his bloodline. Okay, the dog I want to look at as far as that breed standard is this dog, Aaron von Granite Rose. I'm going to click on his page because he really, to me, embodies the picture of a V-rated dog as far as his shape, size, and everything about him. I'm going to also look at, you can look at other pictures of him that were taken. Man, he just is very, very noticeable. Has a noticeable stance when they stand him up. That's a picture of his father there. So not all of these are pictures of him, obviously. But he's a very, very noticeable dog, okay? So I want to point out, I'll click on this image here. I think it's taking me back to the same page. Okay, whatever, that works. He is really got a nice head shape on him. And if you look at like the nose, the muzzle, smooth curves, it mentions for the head, should have a nicely chiseled shape with smooth curves, ears pointed straight up parallel to each other, thicker around the neck, shoulders, males, that's a common male feature, a little bit thicker around the neck for males and thicker head. Chest development, they like to see a well-developed chest. To me, his is not quite as well-developed as some dogs I've seen, but they like to have a good solid chest on the male. And when they talk about a stack, I don't know what just happened there. When they talk about the stance or the stack on the dog, you want to see the very top point of the shoulder up here, the very top point of it, the withers, slightly higher than the hip. So the American show lines have taken that to an extreme where they slope the backs, not a sloped back, but you want this to be slightly higher than the top of the hip. And especially see how they put them in a stance there where they've got one leg pulled back anyway, that when they make them pose, that's where you want to see just a slight. This is a little bit higher than right here, not much. The tail, this is important. Wayne Curry used to actually take the tail and pull it down and see if it would touch the ground. He wanted a tail that was long, that would touch the ground. The judges, the exact wording on the breed standard has to be somewhere between the hock joint and the ankle. So like very long, but if it's not quite to the ground, that's okay. But they do favor long tails. So even with the curve here, his is clearly between the hock joint and the ankle. But if you were to stretch it out, it would touch the ground. So that was something that Wayne Curry, Lolo's breeder, always looked at. Anyway, this is a good example of a V-rated dog. Also, this is a dog who has got some shared ancestry with Lolo. So, you know, if they get a little extra emphasis from the Granite Rose side of the family, not him per se, but his family, his ancestry, etc. Lolo's got some a shared ancestor there as well. So the next dog I want to look at, you can also go, actually, let me show you this, videos. There are videos of dogs performing. I think I had it pulled up somewhere. Maybe I didn't. I thought so. Maybe not. I've just gone, if I wanted to research more about dogs, oh, let me point this out. So SV is a hip rating in Germany. Okay. Rather than OFA, they use the German hip rating. You have level 1, 2, 3. 1 is the highest. 3 is, so that would be like very good. 2 would be good. And then 3 would be fair. Okay. And then elbows normal. And normal is all you can get is normal on the elbows. You can see through this pedigree database, he's had 338 offspring that have been listed here, 670 that have got pictures, and the pictures do the children and grandchildren. So this gives you an idea. If you were to click on it, it gives numerous pictures of apparently 670 children as well as grandchildren that this dog has produced. And that can give you an idea, looking at some of those pictures, I'll click on it real quick, of the shape, size. How did his offspring turn out? Did he throw himself? What traits about himself did he throw? Or did that, you know, so you can kind of see, you know, just some of the different dogs. And in many cases, and it depends on the female that he was combined with, right? But you can see some of the dogs that are descended from him, children, and then further down, they go to second generation grandchildren. So I've been able to trace, if I go to a breeder's house and see a dog that's just really a standout, I've been able to do this. I've been able to click on that dog and look at that dog's ancestry. So see how I clicked on Aaron? Now it shows his parents and grandparents, etc. I can also look at that dog's descendants. You can also look at his siblings. So siblings, full sisters and brothers, half sisters and brothers, all of them are listed here. And you can see what the combination was with. So full siblings or litter mates, they don't always have pictures, but okay. What did they look like? This one is actually one that you'll see in Lolo's family, Daggy there. We'll go back to that dog in a little bit. Looks a lot like Lolo, actually. Different fathers, you know, this one, different mother, same father, etc. So what's cool about it is, again, I've been able to go to breeders' houses, and if I saw a standout dog, male or female, on the breeder's property, what is that dog's name? You know, and make a note. I can then look it up, find the ancestors of that dog. So maybe later, years later, if I find another dog that's got similar ancestry, oh, okay, I remembered seeing a dog that was out of those bloodlines before. They look similar, okay? Or they act similar too, maybe in some cases, behavior-wise. See the siblings, see the descendants. It's kind of a cool tool to use. Okay, so example of a V-rated dog here. KKL1, by the way, it stands for Korkelass. I'm not very good at my German, but it's a different organization or group in Germany that also rates the dog on the overall shape and structure, but also behavior, temperament traits. And 1 is the highest level you can get. You can get a 1 or a 2 or a pass. So any dog that's got not only a V rating, so in like a show setting, he got rated excellent, but also this is a separate organization also. So both organizations, this one gave him a V, the other one also gave him a level 1, meaning we were really pleased with the dog as well. That's good to know. Sometimes they'll get different ratings. They might get a V in one arena, but a level 2 maybe in the other organization. That's all. That's still really good. It's better than anything that our dogs that we own have. But this is a really top class dog. If he got rated, as far as his shape and structure, if he got rated a V from one organization and a KKL1 or Korkelass 1 from the other organization. Let me switch gears here. So you'll notice if you look at Iron's ancestry, he's got quite a few ancestors that either have the V or the SG in front of them, okay? I'm going to show you one more dog here, and that is Lux, which is Jake's grandfather. Here he is. He, to me, was just a dog that I saw on site and was one of the most beautiful dogs, if not the most beautiful dog I've probably ever seen. And it probably is because he fit the breed standard without me knowing it. So again, looking at the shape of the head, nice smooth curves, good solid sized head. This picture was taken when he was very young. He filled out a lot more, got thicker with age. Kind of a thick neck chest, not over the top with the chest, but he's got kind of the smooth curves that they look for. Top of the shoulder here, the very top of the withers on the shoulder is slightly higher, especially when he's stacked. They call it a stack, is like the stance that they pose him in, where he's got one leg pulled back. Slightly higher than the hip here. Tail all the way down, touches the ground, okay? Deep, full chest, narrows just a little bit going into the hip. One of the language pieces in the breed standard is that the body is longer than it is tall. The correct dog, for a correct dog, the body should be longer than it is tall. And you might notice in looking at Aaron, he didn't have quite as long of a body, but it's longer than he is tall, or more or less. What I have found in dogs that I have seen is they do tend to favor, here's Lux again, if you're going to have error, a little bit longer is better than a little bit shorter on the body length, body type. So he's a little bit longer built than Aaron, perhaps, but he's still got that V rating from one organization, as well as the KKL1 from the organization. So 2 different organizations sized him up and looked him over, and they both said excellent for this dog. Okay, so that's kind of how I have based a lot of my knowledge. I saw this dog in person. So, okay, I know what it looks like now, basically. I'm going to take you to another dog. This is Lolo's uncle, or close to her uncle, Wilson. One of the other most beautiful dogs I've ever seen. Actually, he should be right here. This is a dog that Wayne Curry, Lolo's breeder, had on his property. He was SG rated, so very good rated by one group, but KKL by the other. So again, an example where 2 different groups, organizations, looked at him and sized him up and gave him a rating. One gave him the top rating, KKL1. The other one gave him a very good. So they may have noted something. I believe what they noted, I've read it before, was his chest was not quite as rounded out as what they would like to see. But again, smooth curves on his face, thick through the neck, ears are pointed straight up, nicely shaped, slightly higher on the top of the shoulder there than at the top of the hip, tail all the way down, and the shape of the tail as well. So not a overly curved tail, and you may have noticed that in the breed standard as well. He also did not have as much pigment as they would like. So Germans favor dark pigment, they call it. He's got a lot of white and silver in his coat. So that may have been not quite as favorable on the standard as others. Breed reports, by the way. I don't read German, but what you can do is you can copy and paste this into Google. I'm not going to do it right now, and do Google Translate to get an idea of what notes were made by the judges about the dog. So they'll make some quick notes when they gave him his rating, quick notes about him. And those notes could be about his structure. They could be about his temperament too, or whatever. Line breeding. This is important. This is a dog who was line bred, not closely, more distantly, but father and mother. He has the same dog, Harrow Oster. I don't know how to say that, but this dog appears 4 generations up on the father's side, 5 generations up on the mother's side. So that would be a little bit more, basically a 5th cousin, okay? And I'll talk about that in a minute. So I could click on that dog if I wanted more information about it. But if we look at Wilson's pedigree now, notice he's got a lot of V-rated and SG-rated dogs, Schutzen 3s, and a lot of his heritage, okay? You can see here's another nice dog, Major, who's got a V rating. Again, just to kind of point out some things. They kind of got him angled a little bit weird here with his back, but he got both the KKL1 by one organization as well as a V by the other organization, as far as his shape, size, whatever. Okay. What I do want to show you here is what I'm talking about with the line breeding. Let's go 5. This is showing you 3 generations. So 1, 2, 3 on the page. Let's go up to 5 generations and look at it. We're looking for this dog, Harrow, to appear more than once on this page, okay? So we're looking for him. This is the dad's side of the family. Where is Harrow? There's Harrow. Okay. He's V-rated. He's Schutzen 3. So if there is a little bit of extra emphasis from his side of the family, it's not a bad thing. This was a really nice dog. This Fado dog, or Fado, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. He was a really famous dog as well and very beautiful. You can see he's got the V rating on his page. But basically, as we move into the mother's side of the family, we're going to find that dog, Harris, or whatever his name was, again. So I don't know him personally. There he is, 5 generations up on her side. So basically what the tool is telling you is they've analyzed this dog's pedigree for 5 generations. And in that amount of time, they found 1 common ancestor who appeared. So basically half. You know, if you had like somebody who was full cousins, it would mean that that several generations up, they had 2 people who were married to each other, like full 5th cousins. They're like half 5th cousins, okay? Is this considered okay? Yeah. A lot of breeders do have what's called line breeding, where they've got, and you can look all the way back to 7 generations on here, which is what I try to do. I try to look at 7 generations and see if I'm able to find common ancestry within there. It's really hard, though, to find any dog who doesn't have at least 1 common ancestor somewhere in 7 generations, because it's really expensive to import them from Europe or whatever. But this was a dog that was on the property when I went and met Lolo. I'm going to also show you, hold on just a second. So here's a headshot of Wilson. I saved this many years ago from Wayne's website, one of the top studs he had there. Notes about males. They typically have a broad, or the judges like to see a broad head, wide set eyes. Ears are supposed to be parallel at each other whenever the dog is at attention. Not overly pointed. So you do occasionally see dogs that have a really sharp point at the top of their ears. That's not considered desirable. Almond-shaped eyes, dark almond-shaped eyes are considered ideal. And you want to see dark pigment on the dog. Mainly, toenails should be dark or black. The skin around the eyes, the eyelids there, the lips should be black. The paws, the pads under the feet should be black. If you see pink or anything on those are considered faults or whatever. And he didn't have any of those things, but he is very light in the coat. Even though he's got some dark coloring going on, he's very light underneath. got the white gene maybe hidden in there. And so that could have been, again, not a fault, but darker pigment, darker dogs are considered more desirable. There's the same picture that's on the pedigree database. I saved several pictures of this dog because he was just really a noticeable, there's him sitting. You can kind of see the shape there. Really a noticeable dog. Probably one of the most beautiful I'd ever seen. Him and Lux. Really nice shape there, and he's just at a natural gait, standing in attention there. Slightly higher at the very top scruff of the neck, basically, as what he is right here. Long, gentle curve to the tail, nothing that's overly curved. He was a very tall dog, so him and Lux were both like very big for the standard. There's a good shot of him. You can see the neck and chest are kind of fairly well developed there. Nice thickness on a stud dog. There's Lolo's dad when I met him. He was younger. Ear shape, not quite as broad across the head, right? A little bit narrower through here. He filled out a little more with age. I'm going to show you a couple pictures, though, that I saved of him. And there's a good one. I kind of see a little bit of sky right here on the shape of his muzzle or whatever. Either way, I mean, he got an SG rating. I'm going to show you him shortly on the pedigree database. Not quite as long of back as what the judges would like. He's still a nice dog, or is deep in the chest. He got an SG rating rather than a V, but he's still a nice boy. Notice that the tail goes all the way down as well there. There he is, and again, I kind of see a little bit of him in Sky. So this is Lolo's father. It would be Sky's grandfather. There's a nice side shot of him. He was actually a very big dog and very well built, I think, as well. Other shots, I see a lot of Lolo in that picture. Just that look, I see a lot of her, as well as right here. I see a lot of her. This is Lolo's grandmother. So this is his mother. This dog was Rudy, or Ruger was his name. This is Ruger's mother, Roxy. She was a V-rated female. She has what's called a masculine head, though. So the masculine or versus feminine traits, you might have noticed that in the breed standard. Typically a wider, broader forehead, wide set eyes, thick through the neck and chest. Those are things you're looking for on studs, or that you would notice more on like stud dogs. She's got, so this is his mother, Lolo's grandmother, had a very masculine head shape. And Lolo kind of inherited a lot of that, I think. Here's a side view of her that's really noticeable, and you'll see it on the pedigree database in a minute. Very much looks like Lolo right here. To me, the side of the head there looks a lot like Lolo. She was a V-rated dog, Roxy was. A little smaller. She also doesn't have as much development going on in her hips, and there's been some debate about that. Like, see how she just like doesn't really even have hips, it looks like, whenever she's got her legs stretched out. And judges may lean different directions on that one. Okay, I'll talk more about that in a minute. Just the fact that it's just kind of like where did the hips go? They like almost disappeared whenever you stretch her leg out. But either way, she got a V rating. Again, just kind of look at the shape, and you just have to kind of look at quite a few of these dogs. And once you've seen several dogs that were highly rated, when you see them in person, it's just flat out noticeable. Even before I knew what a V rating was, to me, these are dogs that when I saw them, they naturally stood out. I didn't know why, but they did, and it's because they fit the standard. This is Lolo's mother. She also had a V rating, and so to me, Lolo favors her a lot. You can kind of see long back. Look how long her back is. Like top of the shoulder right here is slightly, not much, but slightly higher than the top of the hip. This is a long built dog, and she was a big, solid girl too. Long tail, has a slight curve at the end, but if you were to straighten it out, it would definitely touch the ground. This is a headshot of Lolo's mother. She's got that wide, big, solid head. A little bit more of a feminine look, I would say, but a big, solid head going. She had a little bit more of that white color gene, kind of maybe hidden in there, a little bit more of the silver look, which is not quite as favorable for judges, but she still was rated very highly. I think I have a few more pictures in here. There's one other female. This is another female that was on Wayne's property. Her name was Cora. She's a half sister to Lux. She was a breathtaking dog when I saw her. The reason I turned down a puppy litter out of hers is she was a little bit high strung, and I didn't want high strung when I was buying. But she's got a really nice shape, head shape, development of the chest, top of the shoulder, top of the hip, tail goes all the way down. Just a really nice body shape as well. She's a DDR dog, which I'll talk about in a minute. Lux was a DDR dog too. DDR just means they were bred in East Germany. Another dog that Wayne had on his property at the time that was a nicely built female. I ended up not going with her lines. This is a DDR dog. So DDR means they are from East Germany. Communist East Germany had a really strict breeding program for the dogs. Regular people were not allowed to breed dogs legally. And kind of one of the good things that came out of that is it was so strict what their standards were. They're even stricter way by far than AKC, that they ended up with just better quality of dogs over time. A lot of that's been lost in later generations now. People will say, I have a DDR dog. And if you look at the paperwork, they really do have dogs that came from that lineage, but they might have been breeding like runts of the litter that came from that lineage or something like that. So just because a dog is a DDR dog doesn't always mean it's better than anything else. But they are very famous, and they have a really noticeable look about them. So this is a female dog. Her name was Chula. I had considered her as a possible option when I bought Lolo as well. And she, I believe, has a V rating as well, maybe V rating or SG. Look how long her body is. Very long-bodied dog. Longer through the neck, too. That's important. Long tail. Judges kind of favor some length, I've noticed, in terms of dogs that get that V rating. This is a picture of Lolo's dad. A couple more years down the line, he kind of thickened out through the neck and chest a little bit. Has a little bit more of a regal, distinguished look in the head. A couple more pictures of him. He was, I think, noted as not being quite as long-bodied, or not quite as, I forget what it was they noted as to why he got the SG rather than the V, but he still was a highly rated dog. Again, I kind of just see the shape of the face right there with Sky. So now I'm going to go to Lolo's page. Here's Lolo on the pedigree database. We have a V in front of her name by accident, and that's because I put it in as part of her name, not knowing at that time what the V actually stood for. They said that it was the V litter, and so I needed, her original name on the puppy papers was Viva, V-I-V-A, but they told me I could just leave, as long as I left the V in there, I could change her name to whatever. And so I changed it to Lolo and left the V in there, not knowing that that actually might cause confusion. But I think she is still a V-rated dog. If I had taken her to a show, I think she would have gotten a V rating. There's her AKC registration number. Now, this is important. She has a common ancestor, Pharaoh, who is a V-rated dog, Schutzen 3 as well. 5 generations up on each side. Also, 5 generations up, another, this is a female dog, Schutzen 2 dog as well. So this 5-5 is what we would actually refer to as like 7th cousins, more or less. I could explain that in a little bit, but 5 generations up, she's got this dog as well as this dog in her heritage, okay? Very common. It's hard to find dogs that are completely outcrossed beyond 5 generations. Iron is, but Lolo is a 5-5, what people call a 5-5 line breed. There's Rudy that we just looked at. And Wayne was really good whenever he enters them in the database of copying and pasting the whole full German description of him. So again, you could take this into Google, copy and paste it into Google and say translate, and get a rough translation of what notes were made about Lolo's dad here, okay? This was a really, really nice dog. This is his dad. However, this dog only got the G rating, right? So let me click on him, Don. So G is not bad, right? G is good or good. So both groups, KKL, rather than giving him a level 1, which is the most excellent category, they gave him a 2, which is still considered like very good. And then the other group gave him a G, which is so like excellent, very good, and then good. Okay, so he wasn't bad, but again, it's just kind of showing you that differentiation there. I still kind of feel like this was a nice dog. If I was looking at him, I would have given him an SG personally, or and again, I'm not a judge, but nice built dog. So here's Daggy. Daggy is has got some common ancestry. This is a connection. So notice Granite Rose. They came from the same place, the same kennel. Remember, I noted at the beginning of the video that Aaron von Granite Rose is on Iron's ancestry. Well, Daggy is in Lolo's. I think there's a lot of similarities. I see a lot of Lolo in this picture. But this is a dog that never was, so they may not have taken her to get assessed by a judge in a dog show, but they did use the other organization for Cork-Alaska, and she got a level 1, which is good for a female, especially. She's also Schutzen 3. So highly level, and especially for a female to achieve all 3 of those levels, very, very good thing to have. So, if we do have a little bit of shared ancestry, and this girl's ancestors as well as Aaron's ancestors are, if there's a connection there with Lolo and Iron being bred together, that's a good thing, right? We've got some good ancestry, good genetics on that side of the family. Let me go back. Notice too, and the main thing is this. So I've kind of gone over it. There's Roxy. Remember I said Roxy got a V rating by the judges. Her mother had a V rating as well. The thing you got to remember here is this. There's Lolo's mother, Kim. Side shot of her standing up. She got a V rating also, as well as her IPO3. The thing that you got to remember is this. If we do end up with a litter of puppies, you don't have to be able to name off all these famous dogs. The main thing you need to be able to tell people is Lolo or Sky has got a lot of V-rated dogs in her heritage, right? Both sides of the family, she's got a lot of V-rated dogs, and that's considered excellent in the German way. You also want to tell people she's got a lot of Schutzen and IPO3 dogs in her heritage, right? Like all 3 levels, they made it, okay? That's the main, I'm trying to explain into you in the long form, like what all of that means. But if you can tell puppy buyers, Sky and Iron, of course, you just send them a YouTube video of him. He won the first place world championship in 2015. That's enough said. With Sky, she's got a lot of V-rated and Schutzen 3 dogs in her heritage. I mean, that's a statement that says a lot, and I kind of wanted you to know the meaning behind it.